Could a pair of brothers be the next great Red Sox duo? What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to Red Seat Radio. My name is Corbin. In today's video, we're going to be examining two Red Sox prospects who happen to be brothers, who also happen to be some of the most promising players in the Red Sox system. We're going to be talking about them and what it could mean for the Boston Red Sox. But before we get into today's video, I just want to give you guys a heads up. We are going to be live tonight, 7 p.m. Eastern time, right here on this channel. We're going to be doing our weekly Red Sox Hot Stove, talking about all the latest rumblings surrounding the Boston Red Sox, as well as answering any questions you guys may have. Again, that is going to be tonight, 7 p.m. Eastern time on this channel. Thank you all very much for clicking on this one. Let's get into it. So for those of you who may not be super familiar with who the Garcia brothers are, they are a pair of brothers signed out of Venezuela that includes 21-year-old outfielder and older brother Jhostynxson Garcia, aka The Password, and 19-year-old catching prospect Johanfran Garcia. The Password was signed back in 2019, where Johanfran was signed in 2022. Both of them had really impressive 2024 campaigns. Johanfran, the younger of the two brothers, had a real turnaround in 2024. He struggled last year in low A baseball to the tune of a 203 average, a 279 on base percentage, and a 305 slug for just a 69 WRC plus, which was 31% below league average production. This season, he came out firing. Through 14 games at the low A level, Johanfran had a 385 average, a 467 on base percentage, and a 596 slug for a 207 WRC plus. A big difference between 2023 and 2024, and also 107% above league average production. There is definitely some swing and miss in Johanfran's game with a 25% strikeout rate this year, but there is some solid plate awareness as well, as he's still managing to walk 10% of the time. What is really exciting about Johanfran is his power potential at the plate. Through 14 games, he had 5 doubles and 2 home runs. That is a lot of extra base potential, and at just 19 years old, he's shown an ability not only to produce high exit velocities, but produce them to all sides of the field, which is incredibly impressive. He also is a really solid defender as well. Soft hands and an ability to keep balls in front of him with a cannon behind the dish could lead to him being a really solid defender back there. Now, some of you guys may be sitting there wondering, Corbin, why are we only talking about 14 games for Johanfran? Clearly, the 2024 season for minor leaguers is definitely a bit longer than 14 games, and you'd be right. The reason we are only talking about 14 games with Johanfran is because, unfortunately, in May of 2024, he tore his ACL rounding the bases, which obviously put an end to his 2024 campaign. It's a big reason why we haven't heard a whole lot about Johanfran in a little bit. He was certainly on pace in 2024 to make some really big waves throughout the Red Sox system, and honestly, throughout Major League Baseball in general. Luckily for the Red Sox and for us as fans, Johanfran is going to be good to go for 2025, and he's just 20 years old coming into next season, so there's plenty of time for him to be able to bounce back and get back to producing the way he produced through the first 14 games of the year. But when we're talking about potential with Johanfran, we're talking about a guy who could potentially be an above average defender with 20 plus home run potential, which would be absolutely fantastic, especially when you consider he's a primary catcher that hits from the right-hand side. However, that's not to be outdone by his brother Jhostynxson Garcia, because the Password was able to stay healthy in 2024 and absolutely did make the waves that we were hoping Johanfran would make. This year, the older Garcia brother started in low A, where he had a 258 average, a 365 on base percentage, and a 517 slug for a 155 WRC plus. During that time, he also had 5 home runs and 6 doubles in 24 games. That was clearly enough for the Red Sox to promote him to high A baseball, and this is where he spent most of his season. In high A baseball, he also crushed that too. In 53 games, he had a 311 average, a 371 on base percentage, and a 627 slug for a 176 WRC plus. Again, about 76% more productive than the average player in high A baseball. During that time as well, he also produced 16 home runs runs, and 14 doubles. He then obviously, of course, because he just totally crushed high A baseball, was promoted to Double A to finish out the season, where he did struggle a bit, especially with the in-game power, but was still overall solid in his first 30 games. He had a 263 average, a 320 on base percentage, and a 386 slug for a 103 WRC plus with 2 homers, 2 triples, and 4 RBIs. The standout here is clearly the in-game power. He led all Red Sox prospects in home runs this season and has some of the highest exit velocities in the Red Sox system, mostly to the pull side. But like his brother, the plate approach is still a work in progress. His strikeout rates this season in low A was 24, high A was 21.8, and double A was 19. He can tend to expand the zone a bit, which does lead to a pretty decent amount of swing and miss. The plate approach isn't exactly where you need it to be, especially with him starting to face higher velocities as he makes his way through the minor league system, and that's a bit of a concern with the password. As he gets up through the minor leagues, is he going to be able to handle higher velocities and better breaking stuff? And it appeared in his first stint in Double A, he was solid at making contact. The problem was it just wasn't that hard contact that we had seen in High A, but in my opinion, there's some really good trends going on here. Obviously, as he continued to grow and continue to develop in minor league baseball, every level he got up to, he cut his strikeout rate by some margin, right? Going from 24 in the beginning of the year to 19 by the end of the season. What this indicates to me is not only an ability to improve his overall approach to the plate, but an understanding that he needs to, a mindset that he needs to continue to adjust. And that's one thing people really love about Garcia is his work ethic and how hard he works at improving himself on a day-to-day basis. And not to be outdone by his brother defensively as well, the password in his own right is a fantastic defender. Sox Prospects, which is, by the way, where we get all of our information regarding Red Sox prospects. It is the best place to go if you want Red Sox prospect information. SoxProspects.com talks about his defense in a really high regard. He's not the fastest player in the world, but he's got great instincts and fantastic athleticism combined with a really fantastic arm that makes him a bit of a weapon in any outfield position you want to put him in. And scouts agree. Most scouts believe that the password could absolutely be a player that could play above average defense anywhere in the outfield. Again, from the right-hand side, this could be absolutely fantastic for the Boston Red Sox. So this extremely impressive 2024 run for the password led to some pretty interesting awards. He was awarded the 2024 MLB First Team All Prospect, which is basically just the best of the best prospects in minor league baseball. He also earned some Red Sox awards, being named to the 2024 Sox Prospects All-Star spot as well. So he did get some recognition for how good he was in 2024, but there's a lot of hope here that by the time 2025 is out, the password here is one of the top prospects in the sport, making his way onto some top 100 prospect lists. And some people genuinely believe that he has absolutely the capability to do that, and I am one of those people. So looking at it, the Garcia brothers had 2 really interesting seasons coming out of 2024. One marked by injury, the other one in sort of a breakout fashion. But the bigger question here is, what does this mean for the future of these guys and the Red Sox, and how could this impact the Red Sox 2025 off season? I think talking about the future or the potential future of these guys or this brother duo together is extremely fascinating because they do have similar ceilings, right? When you break down what their positives are, what their kind of negatives are at the moment during their 2024 just overall campaigns in general, they have similar things, right? They are potential above average power hitters and potential above average defensive players with the issue of trying to resolve their strikeout rate, which I think is totally possible. I think these guys are athletic enough. I think these guys are hard enough workers where they can get themselves to a point where their swing and miss isn't as much of a hindrance on who they could potentially be. And if they can get to that point, well, then things get really interesting because all of a sudden, these are 2 players who become potential right-handed sluggers for the next great Red Sox team, right? These are guys who could potentially be 20-plus home run guys from the right-hand side with above average defense. For the Red Sox, that is star potential. That is legit legitimate impact player potential at the big league level. And again, the question is whether or not they can get there. I firmly believe that they're going to be able to get there, but it's going to be interesting for the Red Sox because they don't have a ton of time to decide whether or not they can keep both these guys in the system. And what I mean by that, Jhostynxson Garcia is going to be eligible for the Rule 5 draft in 2024, meaning the Red Sox don't really have a ton of time here to make an opinion as to what the password could be over the next couple of years. In the next month or so, they're going to have to decide if they are going to keep him and put him on the 40-man roster, if they are going to trade him and make use of the value that he's acquired this season, or if they're going to just take their chances in the 2024 draft that someone doesn't pick him up. In my opinion, someone absolutely will pick him up if he's eligible for the 2024 draft, which means the Red Sox really have two options here. They either add him to the 40-man roster or they trade him before the Rule 5 draft and someone else puts them on their 40-man roster. In my opinion, I think it would be a smart idea to add him to this roster. And I think the reason for that is because, again, you take a look at this minor league system and almost every single one of the top guys is a left-handed hitter, right? Your Red Sox have already been pretty adamant about balancing out this lineup, and one way they can do that is to really increase their pipeline of right-handed potential impact players, and both of these guys, like I said, could absolutely do that. But the Red Sox do have a whole lot of interesting decisions to make with their 40-man roster before this Rule 5 draft kicks off, as they just have simply so many players Rule 5 eligible this year that there are going to be some tough decisions made, and I wouldn't be surprised if Johanfran is a part of that. Yes, the potential is absolutely fantastic, but we are going to get some sort of indication as to what the Red Sox think it could be in the next couple of months. And speaking of the Red Sox, how does this impact them? Well, one, obviously, it makes their decision this offseason a little bit more difficult as they're kind of under a pressure cooker here to figure out what they want to do with the password. But the other thing here is it does give the Red Sox some options, right? If you take a look at what the Red Sox are trying to do this offseason, a potential big part of that is who are they going to trade away from this farm system to make a legitimately impactful trade. Both of these guys becoming bigger names in the Red Sox system is going to have an impact on that. It's going to give them more options than they had before. A guy like the password becoming the guy he became in 2024 might make it easier to part with someone like a Miguel Bleis who has a ton of potential but didn't have a great 2024 season. He could be someone that the Red Sox flip and use to create more depth or even more star power at the major league level, because now they have someone who could come in and sort of take that role in the system that Miguel Bleis currently has. For Johanfran, it doesn't totally create an opportunity to just openly be like, yeah, you know what, we could trade Kyle Teal. We got Johanfran Garcia who's coming up in 3 years. It's a little bit of a different story here, but what he does is he creates depth in an area the Red Sox didn't really have much depth in. When you take a look at potential impact catchers the Red Sox have in their system, the list is pretty much Kyle Teal. That's basically it. But having Johanfran Garcia start to emerge before his injury and hopefully coming back from his injury could create more depth in an area that the Red Sox just simply don't have depth in. And that's also a really important factor here for the Red Sox as they go forward and make decisions regarding their major league roster. But regardless of what's going to happen to the Garcia brothers, I think this is absolutely fascinating. How many times have you seen two brothers in the same system making waves the way both of these guys have made? How many times have you seen two brothers with the potential that both of these guys have? It's a really unique thing that the Red Sox have going on right now, and it puts them in a really interesting position. Again, if you didn't know the Garcia brothers coming into this video, these are guys who you should absolutely be paying attention to as the 2025 minor league system kicks off, because these are guys who could absolutely be potential stars for this Red Sox team. But that's just my opinion. So let me know in the comment section down below, what do you guys think? What do you think about the Garcia brothers? What do you think their future holds? And what do you think their impact could be on the Boston Red Sox? Let me know all your thoughts on this brother duo in the comment section down below. As always, if you made it to the end of this video, do me a favor. Make sure you guys have hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. If you're new here, we talk Red Sox content almost every single day. Also, make sure you guys have hit the like button on this video as well. It just simply helps these videos out a ton. It's the best way to let me know you're enjoying the content. Don't forget, if you want to listen instead of watch these episodes, all you got to do is head over to your favorite podcasting app and look up Red Seat Radio. Thank you all very much for clicking on this one. I will see you 7 p.m. tonight right here on this channel. Talk about all the latest Red Sox rumblings and, of course, in the Red Seats.